Hello and welcome to the third and final of our super sessions here on InsideJam.com. Thank you so much for coming and watching along with us. We're taking, like I said before, we're taking our regular Friday jam slot and blowing it up into a full day of jam sessions packed with expert discussion and insight. And our final session today, I love this title, Weaponized Intelligence, Using AI to Fight AI in the Cybersecurity Arms Race. I'm your host, Ryan Daly, and if you're watching on the live stream here on InsideJam.com, please go ahead and ask questions in the chat. This is pre-recorded, but we hope to have some of our experts here watching along and can get some of those questions answered. If you're watching the YouTube recording, well, hey, it's YouTube. Go down, like and subscribe, right? And also, if you have questions, please ask them down there in the comments, and we'll try to get those answered for you. So if you are watching on YouTube, please also head over to InsideJam.com. Check out the human conversation that we're having there around this AI moment in all the facets of enterprise technology. We've got so much content there around it and so many experts who you can connect with there in that human conversation. And speaking of human conversations, we're going to have a great one right here. Christina Richmond, you've assembled an excellent panel to discuss this AI arms race in cybersecurity. So I'm going to step out of your way because I've reached the limit of my expertise in the field and turn it over to the experts. So Christina, welcome aboard and let us know all about your panel.
It's great. Thank you so much, Ryan. And thank you so much to Insight Jam for having us all on today. I'm Christina Richmond, your moderator for this session. I'm the founder and principal analyst at Richmond Advisory Group, which is an industry analyst firm. It's a boutique firm. We cover cybersecurity and AI, all the different facets. We're going to go round robin and do a quick set of introductions. So let's, we want to get to the meat of the discussion, but let's start with you, Robert. Quick introduction, then we'll go around the table.
Great. Thanks, Christina. My name's Rob. I work at Netcraft. I lead our threat research team. So we look at the kind of threats that we see online and disrupt those on behalf of our customers.
Great. Nilesh?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nilesh Chiranj. I'm the co-founder and chief technology officer for Gurucul. We are a security operations company and, co-founded, almost 15 years back. We help, define the user entity behavior analytics space, which gradually got morphed into next generation SIM and now into AI SOC.
Great. Thank you. Charles?
Hi, I run Division Hex, which is a team of hackers, responders, and threat researchers. We do everything from basic penetration testing to ad sim to threat hunting to everything else. Previously, I ran X-Force for about a decade over at IBM. Before that, helped to found and run Spider Labs and AI before that.
Terrific. And Ankur?
Hello, everybody. I'm co-founder and CEO of Straiker. Looks like everybody's building AI. So somebody's going to secure the thing that's going to build our future. So we're in the business of securing AI.
All right. Last but not least, TK.
TK Kianini, CTO for DNS Filter. DNS Filter is a protective DNS company. We run globally, and of course we have to use AI to scale at machine scale. So that's our tie there.
Awesome. All right. So each of these gentlemen, they were very humble, but you have some of the top luminaries in this space on this panel. We've got CEO, SVP, CTO, founders. So they've been very humble, but look at their titles. Let's dive in. I think each one of these gentlemen has a very unique perspective on the issue that we're talking about today. So the first question is how AI-powered attacks are different. So I'm going to toss this to TK and Robert because I think both of you will be on the front lines of seeing AI-powered attacks, both from the DNS filter side for TK, because you're kind of like the internet caller ID system. You'll see the attacks in the early minutes and hours. And then Robert, or Rob, I'll call you Rob for this because you introduced yourself that way. At Netcraft, you'll see it with your digital risk protection and other capabilities that you have. So gentlemen, don't go too deep because we're going to get deep with specifics shortly. But how are these attacks fundamentally different from traditional cyber attacks? TK?
I think overall AI has touched many industries, and and for the adversary, it's made cyber threat faster, cheaper, and more convincing. I think we've gotten to a point where it's really broken our human senses. And that's actually, I would say, probably the net new thing, uh, that we can't trust our senses anymore. Um, I would I would encourage everyone to um, make sure they don't forget about the fundamentals. The fundamentals still matter. Even though you got fancy, shiny AI, you still have to have protective DNS, manage your secrets, do all the fundamentals. It's on top of that that they're fooling human senses, where you're going to have to basically fall back to some manual process, maybe some secret that you have between two people that you can authenticate, because your eyes and ears are untrustable at this point.
Wow, that is the takeaway sentence for me for this week. AI has broken our senses. That made the hair on my arm stand up. Rob, I know you have a perspective on this. How are AI powered attacks different from traditional cyber attacks, in your opinion, from what you're seeing?
Well, it's actually a really interesting question because in some ways they're not different.
Right.
They are the same attacks.
Mm.
They're just better, faster, as TK was describing. To kind of give you some flavor to that, what we're seeing in Aircraft, we kind of see a global view of the kind of attacks that many listeners will be familiar with. Think about phishing or fake shops. What we're seeing is a increase in scale, increase in the size of attacks, but we're also seeing a change in behavior. So attackers now can find it incredibly easy to target even the smallest brands and organizations because the effort, the ROI, it's very different to how it was even 5 years ago. You don't have to put any technical effort into building, say, a phishing kit for a particular brand. You can do that with AI, and it takes you about 30 seconds. So I've done it
Right.
myself. Like that's a pretty, excuse me, the pretty interesting parallel there. The attacks are quite similar. The phishing attack is still a phishing attack, but it's just better, faster, and cheaper.
They're just better. They're just better. That's right. So let's give us a little hope for the future, right? It's always good to get or the hair standing up on the arm maybe for a second, but I'm not a big fan of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt for too long. How is AI transforming the defense landscape? The good guys. How is it transforming that? So I'm going to go round robin with Ankar, Charles, and with you, Nilesh, and talk about defense because you're all on the front lines of defense, right? So Straiker focuses on continuous red teaming and runtime protection. Coalfire, you do red teaming. You also have that managed threat defense. And then Gurucul, you actually have this kind of perspective of knitting the threat detection data together. So we'll wrap up with you at the end. So Ankur, kick us off. What are you seeing with Straiker in terms of defense? How are we defending ourselves in this new world?
That's a great question. Look, this should be pretty obvious and intuitive, but what's saying that you can only secure AI with AI, you can only secure agents with agent. The entirety of the security stack today, almost entirety of the security stack today is built on rules and pattern matching and regexes. That's just not going to work. I mean, somebody can evade an email or some really harmful content going out by just introducing spaces or using different languages.
Mm.
So, in a nutshell, the defenses you need to build needs to be AI driven. Specifically, it needs to have fine tuned models that are trained on security and safety. So a lot of what we do and what we see is if you're testing an agentic application, we have our own full-blown agent attacking it. If you're doing guardrails and defense side, we have fine-tuned models that has to, at sub-second latency, detect these threats. And the last thing I'll say is that the traditional threats about detecting PII or injection attack or toxicity is relatively straightforward to build. What makes things really difficult is the agentic world is, human gives a task to an agent. There's a lot of interactions that happen between models and MCPs and tool. It's a really, really gnarly problem, but one that we want to solve so that enterprises can AI with confidence.
Awesome. I'm glad you brought agentic AI into the picture because we need to include that in this discussion for sure. Charles, over to you. And then we're going to get into just a loose conversation in a minute. But I wanted to sort of hit on each of your perspectives first. So, Charles, what are you seeing in the managed threat hunting space or in your red teaming?
So, I think we're seeing two sides of the coin when it comes to AI. First, we ourselves are being hired to attack AI, for our clients. And I gotta say that's a really easy test. We're batting 1,000 against AI, and for those that aren't baseball fans, that means that every time we've gone up against any kind of AI application, any MCP, any agentic implementation, we've compromised it. Every single time we've had a critical finding, not just a high, but a critical, like a please unplug this from the internet kind of finding. And you'll notice I say unplugged from the internet. The big thing I'm finding isn't even, I guess, directly security relevant, but the fact that we've completely bypassed a lot of the security gateways because the initial implementation of AI is ridiculously cheap for the amount of data that it can have access to. So those budget requests that typically caused a major security review, because they were enormous, are gone. And now there are these minuscule budget requests kind of fly on by. And as a result, a lot of these things are making it to the internet with surprisingly little validation. And that means we're finding really bad stuff. And then the flip side of that is sort of on the, okay, what does AI in the attacker's hands really mean? Let's be honest here. The access brokers were already having pretty good luck getting into systems and then selling the access. So if we've raised their batting average from 80% to 90%, have we really moved the needle that much with AI on the attacker side? Look, I mean, we're already having great success. We'd already moved from a point where we said, look, you're not going to prevent an access broker from getting access. What you want to do is detect lateral movement. You want to detect what happens once they get past the castle moat, so to speak, because there is no more castle moat. Really, AI isn't the game changer there that I guess I would have feared initially. Um, I think what really would frighten me is if we start to see AI get really good at lateral movement and information gathering once they're in the environment without setting off your detection and response capabilities. That is like the turning point for me. And here's the thing: if we wait for it to happen, I think we're all going to be screwed. So now is the time to look at, hey, from a threat hunting capability, do I have visibility where, and engaging in a threat hunt now and saying, do I have the visibility where I would be able to detect that kind of lateral movement? Do I have the systems, mechanisms, whatever in place so that as we start to evolve these attacks, we're really defending against them? I think we're like 60% of the way there from an attacker standpoint right now, but that has 40%. It's not going to be like a linear timeline.
It's going to be exponential. I agree with you. So, you also need to have the data and you need to be able to, have the visibility into the data, and that's Gurucul. So I'm gonna go over to Nilesh to talk to us about what you're seeing in terms of defense and how aggregating all that data and looking at the threat detect and respond, whether it's what Charles was just talking about or threat intelligence that you're ingesting as well as correlating and contextualizing. How do you do that? And what are you seeing in terms of defense that is helpful in this next gen SIM SOAR that you talked about at the beginning?
Yeah. Absolutely right. I think I agree with everyone on the panel here, right? There are definitely two different aspects when you are looking at AI based attacks. Everyone here agrees the AI based attacks are on the rise. It's fairly cheap, it's quick, right? Even the smallest organizations are getting attacked easily. And the other aspect to that is it's not like we can even deny some of the traditional defenses that we have, right? I'm not talking about rules driven or what have you, but there are purpose-built machine learning techniques or what have you that we have leveraged over the years for specific attacks, specific threat attacks or what have you, right? And that's what our mission has been at Gurukul, right? One of the key aspects to counter any attack is definitely to get data linked, correlated as fast as fast as you can, so you can actually get to the analysis in terms of what the pattern is of the attack. And with AI, that has helped us do that fairly quickly. And then the combination of let's say AI models, the next gen AI models or gen AI models, along with some of the traditional machine learning based models, which are focused on specific type of attacks. I mean, that gives us sort of that force multiplier, to get detections faster. And then on the triage and the response side as well, where you have agentic AI or AI SOC analysts, doing a lot of that triaging work, right? I'm almost 60 to 70% of that work, and then bubbling up, the real incidents or threats that that we need to look at, right? So there are definitely, right. I mean, improvements that we have seen across the spectrum, where AI has augmented, I would say, really efficiently, right, in the entire attack lifecycle detection.
Love it. Love it. And you've kind of brought us right into the next question, which is really about the specifics on how we're using AI for defense. So let's just open it up. In my studies, I'm seeing, automated triage. I'm seeing LLMs being used for summarized, attack vectors, attack information, giving all of the background very, very rapidly, and then offering remediation steps. And in some cases, offering the remediation code, or not just what you do, but how you remediate. So I'd love to hear from the group here. What are you seeing in terms of automated remediation, triage, anomaly detection? Let's get specific about how defense is being enabled by AI. And let's take it a step further and talk about agentic AI. How will it? What's our future state potentially with agent to agent types of defense? Just jump in. We'll have a
Yeah,
conversation.
if I could kind of jump in there, and one of the projects we've been working on over the last 2 years, we've been using large language models to interact with threat actors on direct messaging platforms, so think email or text message, and doing that in a way that is not intended to waste their time. The intent is that we talk to these threat actors. Typically, they're involved in scams. They may be romance scams, grandparent scams, where they are goading potential victims into making payments to them. Sometimes they're through gift cards or Bitcoin payments, and sometimes they're through bank wire transfers. What we've been able to do with large language models that we would not have been able to do 5 years ago was to scale up this activity. So we're effectively running a really large honeypot, and we're interacting directly with threat actors in order to get the insights and intelligence out of that, which can include things like looking at the types of scams, but you didn't get the actionable intelligence. So what phone numbers are they using? What bank accounts are they using? Which email providers are they using? And then we're able to extract those insights and then feed that into actual defense. So sharing that intel with our partners and customers who are then able to do something about it. And that's something we could not have done, certainly at the scale that we can do it. We could not have done that 5 years ago. That would have been a call center of human beings typing furiously. And we were able now to do that in a way that scales, in a way that means that we can get that insight and share that with our partners very quickly.
We think of AI here, and we pose the question, how does it make our craft work better? How does it make the adversary's craft work better? I want to offer maybe a different perspective. There are a lot of things on the internet that are nasty, just nasty, and AI has made them nastier, or at least cheaper to produce. So I'll give you an example. We have a lot of customers, because we do DNS filtering. We have a lot of customers that would like to prohibit, let's say, the viewing of child sexual abuse material. So let's just take that for a second. Okay, so this is content that was historically generated by humans, now being generated by AI. All right. So the volume of which is present on the internet, by March, we had reached numbers of the entire last year. So the volume is increased. It's being AI generated, and really the only defense against it, actually evaluating the material and stating that it's in that category and it has to be done at machine scale. So I just wanted to put out a use case out there that is, again, very nasty, but it's not malware and it's not ransomware, but it needs to be blocked.
That is a very, very specific, specific case. And I'm glad you brought it up, right? Because machines can run at a faster pace and hopefully they can pick up the content that you're training them to pick up so that they can then block for you. So Charles, I see you trying to jump in, please.
So, I was looking at Robert's use case, and I think that's a great use case because it starts to move beyond, what TK described, very important, absolutely an important mission, but it's something that allows AI is allowing us to scale something that we couldn't ordinarily do. It gives us the human power or the AI power to overcome a human power deficit. What's interesting about Robert's use case is you start to see a pivot of AI, not just for scale, but also for quality. I think when we start to win in security is the point at which we stop looking at AI as just a mechanism to scale and in many cases sacrifice quality in the course of scaling. But when we actually look at AI as a mechanism to improve quality. And I think that there are use cases out there, but right now, a lot of the money from the venture capital circles and whatnot are focused on how do we replace humans doing a job with AI. When we sort of saturate that and start to get to the point of how do we do security better, I think we're better positioned to take on attackers.
Yeah, the one dimension I'll add to, I mean, I couldn't agree with what's already being said, Christina, but look, we're testing a lot of agents. We're seeing a lot of agents in the wild, like largest financial services company, healthcare company. We're still in the early days, right? Like using Charles' sports analogy, we're still in like bottom of first. We got plenty of time to go. But what we're seeing is on the coding and engineering productivity, Replit just yesterday launched V3, so where the agents can do a log running task, like it ran for 200 hours. So the measure of success in the agentic world is how long can it do task autonomously. The more, the better, obviously. So we're starting to see that. We're starting to see agents now have access to enterprise data, reason through your calendar and your Google Drive and your Docs and internal wiki page, and then take some actions, right? So general purpose of employee productivity, I hear a lot of SOC automation use case, which I think Charles alluded to as well. I think that's all happening fast. On the defense side, I mean, obviously the thing that we have to be careful, and I alluded to earlier, was it's just the level of access these agents will have, because the only way to make agents productive is to give it access to the data, to train it on the data. And it's quite scary. Like at scale, it can do mass data exfiltration type stuff, unlike anything we have seen. And just like Charles, a lot of the clients that we work with, we see stuff that's that's hard to imagine. So I think the agentic world is net. It's here. It's going to happen very quickly. We're still in early days, but I think we got to start with security and safety first principles before we go full bore all in on this.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree here with Ankur, right? I mean, agents are all across. It's kind of like a similar phenomenon that we saw with shadow IT, right? So where you'll be looking at a lot of sort of shadow AI agents. You don't know within an enterprise, what the users are installing, what kind of AI services they are using, things of that nature. That's one of the things that we at Gurukul have been doing, right? Trying to sort of discover some of that agents, trying to determine, what kind of access they have, what kind of data they are looking at. There are various different aspects, right, to look at. And again, right, I mean, it's growing as fast as anyone can imagine, right?
Yeah, I think you guys are bringing up some really good points. And when you said, it's going really fast, Ankur, back when agents were brand new, what is that, like 2 minutes ago or 6 months ago? Folks were saying 3 to 5 years before there would be actual production. It's already in production. 18 months is where I'm hearing that we will have full production agent to agent, at least in SOC environments. We're already seeing a lot of agentic work in SOC automation capabilities. What concerns me and what I talk to a lot of companies about is the identities that they can create on our behalf. So the non-human identities that are created on our behalf, we don't always have visibility to them, right? You and I have talked about this, Ankur, and I think I've talked to Saryu at Gurucul, and I've talked to Charles about this as well. And I think also, Rob, we may have talked about it. So I need to talk to you more, TK, because I really would like to hear more about what DNS Filter is doing. But I think in terms of agents, we're already there. We don't have full visibility. We need visibility in development, not just runtime. I think a lot of companies are spinning up to be able to monitor and remediate. Some companies are being spun up to look at policy. But it's the dev piece that I am probably most worried about. Any thoughts on the timing of agentic AI and non-human identity challenges, and also then where we are in terms of defense?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Automation is great until it isn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of the hard wall there. This is all about the outcome of Gen AI, not the Gen AI itself. So when looking at the outcome, I mean, if it's helping me pick, which movies I'm going to watch, not a big deal. But if it's going to diagnose, whether I have cancer or not, it better be real, right? So again, I think people are going to get excited and are already excited about it doing things and being operational and in part of the automation. I would ask them to really question whether they can afford a stochastic process, which is a process by which you can ask it 100 times and it might give you a different answer. If they can afford it in their workflow, then they've probably designed it well. If they can't, though, if they need at that point a deterministic process, then Gen AI might not be the right thing to do.
All right, you get the word nerd award. Stochastic is one of my favorite words. You also get the what made my hair on my arm stand up award, because the AI has broken our senses is a great takeaway. I think you're right. You have to look at whether you can handle a stochastic response or you need a deterministic response. You need to be prepared to Charles's point about that long tail. We're at about 60% of being able to detect and respond in the AI world, and that's not enough. It wasn't enough in traditional cyber. It's not enough with AI. We're nowhere near that with agentic AI. So I think we've touched on where are some of the possibilities with AI and agentic AI. I kind of want to turn our attention to a couple of future forward things. We've touched a little bit we've touched a little on what companies should do as they go forward, right? They should really think about their architecture. They should really be planning for their policy and guardrails. We've talked about that a little bit. What other recommendations from each of your perspectives should companies be thinking about as they prepare for the future with both LLM and with agentic AI?
I can kick us off. Look, the CISOs we talked to, I'm just taking a step back. Every 5 years, technology shifts and they've got more things to worry about, and the budgets are getting smaller. So as we build new technologies, and our intent is to help enterprises, it's never lost on us that there's genuinely just too many things going on. So I try to keep it simple for them. And my thing is that the way you can enable business to go AI, first of all, you're not going to stall it. You have to keep it going. It's two simple things. Is continuously test your AI. Just make sure it's not trained on sensitive data. It's not going to leak sensitive data. It's not going to manipulate anything. It's not going to exfiltrate stuff. And then second, have guardrails in place. AI guardrails in place. You do that, you can sleep at night. Your point about non-human human identity is valid, but like they barely figured out how to do the machine identity problem and then the non-human one and now agentic. Yeah, I mean, how the hell are they going to solve it? I mean, they're already buried in a million alerts. So my recommendation is put in place guardrails and sleep at night, so that when agents go rogue, you'll have something to detect and block as you figure out how to fix those hygiene issues, which there's endless amount of it. Like, and the last thing I'll say in this one is that just as they were thinking about open source model and model scanning, now it's all of a sudden MCP. So like, okay, well, developers are using hundreds and thousands of MCP servers. So how do I maintain that hygiene? and identity hygiene and data hygiene. There's no dearth of hygiene problem to solve.
It's really everything old is new again. I think, Rob's point was, all the attacks are the same, but to TK's point, they're better, faster, cheaper. So you're right. Do what we've not done to date historically as well as we should be doing, but do it better, faster, cheaper. That's a little scary.
Well, let
Christina, though.
Evan,
sorry, Charles, I was just going to highlight something you said. I mean, I cannot say enough that we cannot forget the fundamentals. Okay. AI does not give us an excuse to walk away from the fundamentals. Go ahead, Charles.
That's actually what I was going to say. The second side of what I would say is, look, every time we get new technology, we try and automate the testing of it. And the thing is that a lot of it is, it's like half vulnerability research, half testing, right? And what that means is get a human being on it, get a pair of eyes, more than a pair of eyes. When I used to live and work in Germany when I started my career, and they talked about the 4 eyes principle. And it took me like a week to figure out what they were talking about. But what they mean is more than one person. Don't just like you don't rely on AI failure, don't rely on human failure. Have people look at it. And have them continue to look at it, because this is going to be an evolving thing for a while. You're going to come up with new and interesting ways to trick AI. And, we'll get better at it. Long term, this will be old hat, but we're right now at the birth of a technology, and we're at the birth of a technology that inherently moves very, very quickly. And finally, I know this is hard to do. The security side of me says, hey guys, let's slow our roll here a little bit. The technology side of me is like, oh, this is awesome.
Let's go.
AI copy maker, great. But the truth is that AI is great for a lot of things. It doesn't mean we need to apply it to everything. I am not going to be an early adopter of an AI toilet, as an example. And if we think about it in those terms, okay, there's certain things, and I can't remember. It was either TK or Robert or maybe somebody else. I don't even know, that made the point. Think about what you're turning over to AI, and TK was you, because we were talking about the deterministic outcome. We need to think about more than just that. Every organization needs a decision tree saying, hey, is this the right application of AI? Not only is it the right application from a risk standpoint, but also what's our return on investment for deploying AI here? Are we deploying AI because we have a whole bunch of really smart people that want to use AI in this context? Or are we deploying AI because it makes business sense?
yeah. I want to grab on one thing that you just said, Charles, about humans being involved, the 4-eye principle. And so the bots aren't taking over. We haven't been disintermediated yet, thank goodness. Let's dive into that a little bit more, right? And let's ask Nilesh and Rob to jump in on where are humans most critical, to the points that Charles has brought up and others. Where are we valuable? Where is the nuance of our judgment and expertise critical? Rob, why don't you start off, and then we'll go to Nilesh.
Yeah, I mean, if I pick up very quickly on the everything old is new again, or everything new is old again, I think one of those ways around, like some of the studies we've done, that you have to think about where these large language models have been trained, what they've been trained on. They fall for the same tricks that humans fall for. Right. We've seen, so we did a study on a large language model where we asked for domain names for particular organizations. A third of the time they were wrong. Many of those occasions they were wrong in such a way that it was dangerous, in that you could have registered the domain name and gone off and had some fun. That they're falling for the exact same tricks that humans fall for. And so you deploy an agentic AI to read your email, it's going to fall for the same attack that you were going to fall for.
They're going to fall for a phishing attack.
But they're going to fall for it faster and harder and stronger. And of course, they can be equipped with tools to let them do things that humans can't. So like being slightly facetious there, but there are ways to equip them with tools that the AI can use, especially in an agentic model. You can say, okay, well, here's the steps you need to do to check, and they'll follow the steps pretty consistently. But to kind of flip back to the original question about human judgment, certainly at Netcraft, like when we've been deploying AI and things that are now called AI for at least a decade, that really has been something that layers on top of human insight. And so being able to say, okay, well, we know about how the internet is structured. We know about that. We've studied it since 1994. We know how the internet is structured. We know where things are. We know where legitimate organizations exist. We know they use high trust registrars like Monitor and others. We can layer that insight and help AI with some guardrails. We can say, okay, well, we're going to ask you to solve this part of the problem, but human beings are still involved in this part of the problem. And we've been able to layer that pretty effectively by having different parts of our application, different parts of our detection mechanisms happen in different places. And being able to do that sometimes with AI, sometimes with computer vision models, sometimes with human written rules. And being able to combine all of those has been pretty effective. And some of the research we're doing right now is to kind of talk to TK's point about stochastic processes. One of the ways that we've been actually quite successful is by having AI tooling write some of these classification rules. And so the rule runs the same every single time, but you've kind of solved a little bit of that early process by being able to say, well, this is what rules look like. Here's the syntax. Here's the things we're looking for. Go away and write a rule. And we have humans check them to make sure they actually make sense. So like that kind of layered process means that you can write so many more detection rules than you could have with human effort. People get bored, sick, drunk, sleepy. AIs don't, but they make mistakes humans don't. So that's kind of another edge of the other side of the coin. We've seen AIs make mistakes, and they'll make the same mistake 1,000 times, and it's a mistake that a human being would never make. But then on the other side of the coin, we've got humans that make mistakes, and they make mistakes that AIs never make. So there's a kind of we found a pretty nice combination of being able to combine different techniques for different approaches.
Nice. Nilesh, give us your perspective on humans. Are we still worth our salt? Are we still going to be relevant in the
Oh,
future?
yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's going away for millions of years. Yeah, but I agree with what Rob was saying. Right? It's actually it's more of an augment story right now. Right? It's human and AI working together. In tandem. With varying degrees, right, depending upon the kind of task or the kind of capabilities that you're looking at or what have you. It could be like 10% AI and 90% human, or it could be 60% AI and 40% human, right? It just looking at sort of how mission critical it is. Like for instance, if you're looking at a threat detection or a response or what have you, right? I mean, it starts from aggregating all your data, linking your data and all. Now, do you want AI agents to be completely completely rely on AI agents to do that? Probably not, right? Because that's your entry point, right? If your data hasn't been linked properly, then everything rest all is gonna blow away, right? Be it in terms of your detections or the investigations that you do or what have you. But let's assume in the in the investigation side of things, if I'm as a SOC analyst, if AI is doing, let's say, 70% of that analysis for me, and just giving me a synopsis that this is what I need to look at, absolutely, that's cutting down on my operational cost, right? So that's where AI is going to be a lot more efficient, right? And then same thing on, let's say, some of the actions that you take, right? I mean, do I need to completely, or will I be confident enough to rely on an AI agent that to make a decision saying that change a firewall rule for me, or block a particular device for me? Probably not, right? I mean, we might need humans to take a second look at it before you make some of these decisions. So it's truly sort of an augment story. But the other aspect to look at it is that as we are getting AI is augmenting us to continuously evaluate, right? I mean, some of the things that probably TK and Charles mentioned as well, to continuously look at the efficacy of these LLM models or AI in each of these perspectives, right? It's like how we can get from 60% AI to 80% AI and 20% human, right? It's going to be an ongoing process, right, till we actually get there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thanks, Nilesh. I think you've all brought up really good points. What have we not covered? I always love to ask that in panels because, we have some set questions. We're trying to figure out how to approach a subject and then talk about it as broadly or as deeply as we want to. But we probably haven't touched something that's really near and dear to your heart. So jump in on something that's near and dear to your heart that you're studying about AI or agentic AI that is either a novel attack or a novel defense or a way that you think the future is going to be changed by AI.
Can I kick us off?
Yeah.
Um, all right. So this has been said a couple of times here, but we had human scale defenses because we were fighting human scale attacks. Okay. This has changed. We now have machine scale attacks, and we still are throwing human scale uh, against it. Now, you would think that's kind of an unfair fight. Um, it is sometimes, and it isn't. I mean, humans have basically a limitation of our cognition. We only go so far, right, with our senses and how we make sense of the world. But the thing that machine scale attacks possess, like I can see a day where malware is so advanced that it's rewriting itself mid incident to evade. Now, that's a speed issue whereby probably my programmers can't do that. Even if they were cutting code on the firewall and pushing it to production, it's just not going to happen. Okay, here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to return to the fundamentals again. Nobody really has considered, like, Christina, you don't, to do your job, you don't need access to the entire freaking internet. You just don't. Okay. Yet we give it to you. As soon as you authenticate, like, you can reach everything. Okay. Even if you just block domain names that were less than 30 days old, you probably take most of the AI threat off the chart. Why? Because speed actually isn't in their favor. Okay. So when I say return to the fundamentals, there's some fundamental stuff that you just have to do, AI or not. And if you do it well, actually, you're in a good shape.
Wow. Okay, that was a novel thing for me. Just block the last 30 days of new internet domains. Okay.
Simple policy.
What else?
I'm going to extend on something he said, which is, talking about the speed of AI.
Hmm.
I think the way we've classified vulnerabilities for so long, taking very much into account indirectly the return on investment that attackers see from a particular vulnerability, we've made general assumptions in the way we triage, the way we strategize, the way we prioritize our security that are fundamentally flawed now. And what strikes me about that is these processes and prioritization mechanisms are so ingrained in the way that we deal with everything that it really is a matter of going back and analyzing your prioritization in everything and saying, does AI fundamentally affect this prioritization? And if so, how? And how can I adjust for it within my security policies?
Yep, I agree. I think that's what I look at, right? I mean, if you're looking at a novel idea or the future, let's say in cybersecurity, how can I get to that, an autonomous system or a self-healing SOC or what have you, right? Which incorporates some of the things that TK mentioned, wherein, it automatically blocks, let's say, last 30, days of domains or what have you, right? Plus it's learning on, what are some of the newer attacks and adapting itself. I would say that's that's something that's probably everyone is working towards, but yeah, still miles away.
Some of the stuff that we see, which I certainly thought was novel, what we call sort of the and something that enterprises should watch out for. We call it sort of the cascading zero-click attacks, where you can send a calendar invite or you share a document with somebody, um, and that unsuspecting user doesn't even have to accept the invite or accept the document, but within that are instructions meant for agent um, to extract the data and go to a malicious website and exfiltrate that data. So it's a zero-click attack. The user doesn't even have to do it. Agents will autonomously take care of that. And that got me to think, and just agreeing with like a lot of what Charles and others have said, which is, um, uh, I think this is what we're like the autonomy that we're giving these agents, which is good. Everything that needs to get automated will get automated. Um, it's not clear to me, like, how do you rein it in? Because you don't give these things permissions. Um, they're not going to be as effective. So I think what we got to watch out for is this zero click. And I don't know if you've seen it, but just in every week I get a email or calendar invite. It's not a phishing attack. it contains instructions that are planned specifically for AI agents. So it's something to watch out for.
So how do you defend against that, Ankur? Because if you're not clicking it and it's just coming into your inbox,
Yeah.
what can we do
So
defensively with that?
yeah, so if you're an enterprise and if you've got an AI agent that's like summarizing your information, all of these agents have what's called system prompts and instructions what it should and shouldn't do. Again, one mitigation technique and defense technique is to develop guardrails. So we call this instruction manipulation or tool manipulation, where the agent was manipulated to go somewhere else, do something else, because it was never tasked to go to an external website and dump all your Google Drive documents. So you got to detect it. Outside of that, certainly, I mean, I have to think email security vendors will start to have this in their arsenal as well. But it's a new world. I'm sure we're going to think about more
Yeah, I think
defenses.
to layer into what Anka said there, that is exactly what I was going to say. So indirect prompt injection is something that we're seeing in attacks already. So it's exactly the same thing. So instructions aimed at agents that we're seeing on malicious websites and malicious emails that are intended to give the wrong impression. And that works both from as Ank was describing, like an actual attack, but it also works against the type of systems where you're just trying to detect an attack, where, full of red herrings. It's incredibly challenging, certainly in my experience, to stop that entirely. And certainly, obviously, there are techniques in place to mitigate risk, but it's something that I'm pretty worried about in terms of just the kind of things we're thinking about, but also the kind of overall, like, where's agentic AI going? How do you defend against it? I don't know the answers.
Yeah, and here again, we're pointing out coming into your calendar, but many of these large leading Gen AI companies are uh, taking it to the browser so they can be more operational, right? Now, God help you if you're sending your two-factor authentication to your email, because guess what? It's reading the email. It's your browser, and things get out of hand, right? So this sort of zero-click thing is going to be operationalized at a different level soon.
So we don't have all the answers, right? I mean, I've gotten some hopeful moments in this conversation, and I thank you guys so much. We didn't really deep dive into the attacks, but we sprinkled them in throughout the chat. Indirect prompt injections, memory poisoning. We touched on that, even though we didn't call it memory poisoning. There, phishing, sort of everything old is new again. We've talked about the attacks just as we've had this discussion, but I have more hope, even though even though this last conversation on agentic AI still makes me nervous. I'm still going to stay up at night worrying about agents. I don't think we've solved for it yet, but I do feel that there's a couple of standards, a couple of structures that we've lived in already. So my 20 years of technology, and I know you guys probably have more than me, but in my 20 years, I have seen many tech revolutions. What Charles was saying earlier about we're in a new tech revolution. It's faster. We're going to adopt it faster, but we're doing the same thing we've done with every tech revolution, which is throwing security after it, right? So it's that shadow IT that I believe TK you mentioned. It's that same old, same old. Everything old is new again. We need to put on our caps and be wise, risk-based, looking at our architecture and what we need AI for. That's what Charles was saying at one point during the conversation. You don't need AI for everything. You don't need agents for everything. Just because we have them, just because we can use them, doesn't mean we have to use them. Your toaster doesn't need AI. I won't use the same example you used, Charles. So I'm hearing some hope in the sense that there are some great companies working on the defenses. The companies that I'm talking with on a daily basis, looking at not just the watching and monitoring and then remediating or looking at policies and guardrails, but actually getting into the code ahead of the agentic challenges that we're seeing, not solved for yet, but getting ahead of. So I have some hope. Humans are not disintermediated. So lots of great last thoughts here. Let's go round robin on how your company is specifically helpful to our listeners and viewers on this problem, because each of you has taken wonderful time out of your day to spend with me and with the Insight Jam folks. Tell us how you can help, and then we'll wrap up. Rob.
Yeah, sure. Happy to kind of give you a quick version of how we operate. So when we're working on behalf of our customers, typically the kind of space we're looking at is your phishing, your malware, the fake shops. Where we can help and where AI is particularly interesting is the scale of the problem, unfortunately, is not shrinking. It's much larger than it ever has been before. We're looking at threats like deep fakes. We're looking at, I haven't even talked about this, but like low code and vibe coding platforms are now a hotbed of fraud.
Yeah.
Turns out it's quite easy to use, which is great, but it's great and easy to use for fraudsters too. We're kind of seeing kind of the same theme that, what everything old is new again, or everything new is old again. I think one of those way around. And phishing is not going away. And the types of problems that we solve for our customers around detection and mitigation are, the same, but different. The scale is different. The techniques are different. The scale that we need to operate is different. And we're being able to use AI for good. And I'm hopeful, to kind of leave you on a hopeful note. I'm hopeful that the technology that we're building enables us to do more good with AI than it enables bad guys to do bad stuff. I'm confident we will win the battle, but maybe not yet. I think the
Maybe
tide
win
is
the war, and
unfortunately
maybe
the other
not
way.
every battle. Yeah, maybe win the war ultimately, right?
Yes, you've got the better metaphor than me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for the hopeful note. Nilesh?
Yeah, so from our standpoint, we are really augmenting AI, with our security operations center platform, trying to analyze, data, link data across, various different telemetry at speed, right, with AI. Having like a fully autonomous SOC analyst with zero downtime as such, right, to continuously keep on evaluating all the alerts that are getting triaged, investigated, and really escalated fairly quickly here, right? More towards sort of a self-driving car kind of a scenario, if you will.
Nice. Thank you. TK.
One of the reasons why I chose to come to this company, people don't understand DNS is 42 years old. Okay, 42 years old. And when it started, it basically was just there to resolve things. I think because it's everywhere, it's not optional. You got it there. Why don't you use it for some policy or use it for some protection, right? So essentially, DNS filter is detection and response for DNS, right? And because it's everywhere, frankly, it's pretty effective. Now, it's effective for both sides. So when I say, don't forget about the fundamentals, here's the thing I would leave everybody with is I truly believe that, your toaster, your toilet, and your refrigerator, it doesn't need access to the entire internet. It just doesn't. And so set a policy there, at least privileged. Now think about the least privileged thing. We need to carry that not only fundamentally to everything we do with provisioning accounts, but we probably need to apply it to agentic AI. Like when's the last time you had a conversation about zero trust principles in agentic AI? Never happened. So that's what I'm trying to say is bring the fundamentals up, pull it up to the main line of code and figure it out. Do your threat modeling on your automation, do your least privileged assessment on all the operations it's doing. If it's going to do an operation and it loses its mind, what's the blast radius? Like do all that hard work. So while I don't sound hopeful, I am a fan of hard work. And there's a lot of hard work to do.
That's great. Maybe not hopeful, but hard work. Okay. Ankur.
Yeah, look, we spent bulk of the conversation today on attack, AI-led attack and defense. That's what Straiker does. At the heart of Straiker are two products: Ascend AI, autonomously and continuously tests the customers are enterprise AI applications, agentic or otherwise. And the Defend AI product automatically and autonomously provides real-time guardrails, low latency, and high accuracy. We're product builders. Although there's a researcher and human in the loop, both of these are products, so it cannot automatically do red teaming and guardrails. And look, last thing I'll leave you with, product aside and how we help enterprises, Fortune 500 and others. I'm an optimist by nature. I think this is, I've gone through cloud, I've done internet, mobile. These are the best of times. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. I think the good will get great with AI as a weapon, bad will get worse. And what I mean by that is if you embrace AI, use it as a force multiplier, regardless of your job, legal, marketing, security, engineering, you're going to be a force multiplier. So looking forward to, having enterprises embrace AI with confidence. That's our mission.
Nice, nice. Charles, you get the last spot. I've known Coalfire for a long time. Services are near and dear to my heart. Tell us how you're going to help in the fight.
So, really, I guess you can break it down to two things, the offense and the defensive side. First, covering the defensive side, whether it's detection response, whether it's threat hunting, whether it's helping clients to build and secure their AI infrastructure, agents, et cetera, we're there to help. Primarily, we're drawing on the flip side, that offensive side, which is we've been there, done that. We've actually been emulated threat actors. So we know what we're talking about from an attack standpoint. That helps us on the defensive side. On the offensive side, we're helping our clients secure not only their AI, but their environment in general by attacking and finding flaws before the bad guys do, basically. Look, you can find out about flaws in your infrastructure, gaps and detections, basically two ways. One is you engage in testing and find them. The other is you're contacted by an incident responder to tell you about the flaws that the attacker used to compromise your environment. In my many years of security, I have seen the pros and cons of each approach, and I will tell you that the better approach is, without fail, to hire someone to find the flaws rather than have a threat actor find the flaws for you.
Yep. And on that note, that is a great ending place. I will just say that each of these companies that we've had the pleasure of chatting with today really offer layered approaches in the defensive posture that we need to have with AI as we go forward in this very fast moving space. I've had the privilege and honor of talking with each of you separately and individually, and also now on this panel. And each of these offerings is really useful in the fight as we go forward and embrace AI and make sure that we're using it to augment and be more productive and even to leapfrog as we go forward. So I'm truly honored to have had this conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your time and your expertise, and look forward to the questions we get on the back end of this. Thank you guys so very much. And Ryan, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Christina. I feel like that hour flew by, but also was so layered with just information, new perspectives. I learned that I'm only slightly younger than DNS, so that was cool. just by a little bit. But thank you so much. Excellent job moderating, Christina, and to all of our panelists. I would like to know, and I'm sure if you're watching along at home, whether it's on InsideJam.com or on YouTube, you might be wondering how to get in touch with some of these fine folks and their companies. So, Charles, why don't we start with you? If you could let us know where to look for you, where to look for Coalfire.
So, of course, I'm always at the Black Hat events and whatnot. I'm on the review board there. But Coalfire, you can find us, of course, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the usual social media places. That said, please keep an eye out for Division Hex. We have branded specifically our Elite Services Group. And Division Hex has really, I think, come on strong over the last 18 months with a a bunch of great hires and really building out a level of capability that is unmatched in the industry.
Love it. Thank you. Ankur, where should people look for you?
We're on Straiker.ai. So that's STRAIKER, not the medical equipment company with a Y. Look, we just had a big reveal. Cyberspike, a Chinese group of hackers who built a AI red teaming tool. We just published that article yesterday. We're going to have a webinar end of this month. So if you want to know how people might be weaponizing, using AI to weaponize enterprise systems, check us out on the webinar.
Excellent. Do check that out. TK, how about you?
Let's see, www.dnsfilter.com. If you want to get your hands dirty, there's a free trial. I will say nobody should be just using DNS as a resolver anymore. It's time you grow up and use it for protection. So that's it. If you just want to talk to me, TK at dnsfilter.com.
All right. Check him out. Nilesh, how about you?
Hi, yeah, you can, meet us at www.gurucul.com on any of the social media websites. And heck, you never know, right? I mean, just put Gurucul in ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those, and it'll give you an entire synopsis of what we do.
Excellent. Please do that. Robert, where should folks look for you?
I'll keep it simple, netcraft.com. And I'm Radat if you want to get just me.
There you go. Nice and concise. Thank you. And finally, Christina, where should people reach out to you, learn more?
Yeah. RichmondAdvisoryGroup.com. We have a podcast called Cyber Sidekicks. We have wonderful guests on every week. You'll find that through LinkedIn, through our page, Richmond Advisory Group. And I'm just Christina at RichmondAdvisoryGroup.com. Reach out. Love to hear from you.
All right. On behalf of myself, Ryan Daly, thank you to Christina and all of our panel today. And if you're watching at home, whether it be it on InsideJam.com or on YouTube, thank you so much for sticking around. If you are watching on YouTube, hey, go right down below. We're just up over 1 million subscribers, so go ahead, be that millionaire first, and join us as we keep growing this community of enterprise technology users, experts, enthusiasts. It's really great. And head on over to InsideJam.com where you can check out these panels live. You can connect with experts. We'll be back again on Friday for a normal jam session. So if you want to see that live, ask questions to the experts, noon Eastern for the jam session, just about every Friday. So thank you so much for watching. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, check out more of these super sessions, the previous ones, right here.